goes live. See?
Billy, the kid, the biggest, keenest, youngest juggernaut in real estate. His questions coming up soon for you. You're going to love him.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Billy, and Mark Novak. Episode 377. Questions from Billy to the pros. Fresh to real estate. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, Mark and Burge. Thanks for having me on the show. Very happy to be here.
And Mel, hope you're well. Hope you had a good Valentine's, which was yesterday, I believe.
Happy Valentine's, everyone.
Yeah. What's doing, Mark?
I'm pretty keen to talk to Billy about his experience, just to bring everything into perspective for people that are watching. He's been an agent for a very, very, very long time. I have, and Michael, not as long, but he reminds me of that. I'm very old. But Billy's come in very old. Billy, when did you start working at Novak? How old were you?
At the ripe age of 16. Yeah.
Is that even legal?
Yeah. But
and
full-time now. Fresh out of school.
Full-time. So, out of the gates. So you made a decision sort of midway through year 12 that you're going to be a real estate agent.
That's right.
And how's it going?
Yeah, I'm loving it. Stoked. I think it was the best decision I've made as of yet to scrap the uni idea for now and pursue this idea of real estate. So no regrets.
What did your parents say to that, leaving uni?
They backed it. They weren't too keen on me, going into something I wasn't 100% about. So they're glad I'm just committing to something that I'm enjoying.
That's good. Because that's the big thing. Like, you don't want to do anything half-assed. I know I had similar. Most people in my family had gone to uni, got degrees. I started, but I hated it. For some reason, I thought if I hated school, for whatever reason, I'd love uni. But no, it doesn't work out that way. So unlike me, Billy saved a year of tuition.
Well, that's right. And also you're not earning money through that period as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Pay to learn.
So it's huge.
So Andre, follow your dreams and passion. Yeah, hey guys. Good morning, everyone. So what?
All right, so
let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Off to you. You go, Burge.
Yeah. So this show is going to really help people who are in similar position to Billy, who are wanting to get into real estate, but they're making that decision. Do I do a trade? Do I drop out of uni? Do I not go to uni? And what are some questions that do come up? And I don't think there's any question too silly. As Andrea says, follow your dreams and passions. So sometimes they're basic questions or they're quite technical, but it's good to have that conversation. And not every 16, 18-year-old has access to a real estate agent to ask the questions. We always tell people, like, talk to people who are doing what you want to do. Like, if they're a pro athlete, if they're a lawyer, like, follow what they've done. But it's not always as easy as said. It's not as easy as do as said. So Billy, how can we help? What questions?
Well, for someone that's straight out of school with big aspirations, wants to get into sales, I think a lot of the industry, or a lot of the guys coming into the office want to get into sales. Whether that's made for them is yet to be determined. But do you think age hinders someone's ability to be successful in sales straight out of school? Do you think age comes into effect when you're talking to owners, being able to close deals, those sort of things? Just a young face, do you think that puts people off?
Mark, you going to go first?
I got in at your age, Billy, as soon as I left school, so I was 17, and I was number one in the country out of 700 sales reps when I was about 1920. I would say there's a couple of things to it. You've got to have presence, because people are trusting you to negotiate the most valuable thing they own. They're trusting you to have experience, which doesn't mean years. It means technical experience, which you can learn. If you're a genius, you can learn how to play the bloody piano in a very short time just because you're a genius. So that doesn't mean you have to sit at the piano for 15 years. So to answer your question, I would say no, age doesn't matter, but those traits that people need to employ an absolute professional to sell their biggest asset they have are very, very important. So if one can learn those traits, experience in the industry, experience, life experience, and be able to hold a really nice level-headed conversation with people all ages. There's no reason why you can't do that at 17, 18, 19, is my answer.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's not necessarily the age, it's the experience and knowledge within the industry. And obviously, a lot of the time, age and experience sort of goes together, because you finish your schooling, you start at 20. Let's just say it's 2 years of grunt work and knowledge and experience and technical stuff you need to know before a buyer or a seller feels comfortable with you. So a lot of people bring it up to, because they'll finish school or whatever they're doing at 18, 19. They do their 2 or 3 years, and then they just see a lot of people getting into sales at, say, 21 or 23. I think that's where you've got to be. But it's not necessarily the age of the person. It's just that core knowledge around it. But if you do that at 14, 15, let's say you're working part-time in the industry from 14, and once you finish school at 18, you sort of know the ins and the outs. You just didn't have the time. Then you'd be starting on a running start. So I think it's more that technical stuff, especially because at the end of the day, I get potentially when someone listing a house with you, there could be some reservations, but not necessarily with the buyer. Like if a buyer wants the property, if you know all the answers and can get the answers for them, a lot of the time they're going to look past your age and be more impressed with the answers you give them and the service you give. Like they're not buying you, they're buying the property, and how you make them feel is more important than how old you are. And when listing a property, that's why you normally start with, or you associate with, an older agent just to counteract that. So I think it's time it's that 10,000 hours. Now, if you start like that saying, Mark, to become a professional, you got to do 10,000 hours. If you start them when you're 10 and you're ready to go by 18, or you start them when you're 24, you've just got to, being in sales is the end goal. People think it's the starting point. Being at reception, being a property manager, doing leasing, all is before it. People just want to start in sales, when it's not really the case most of the time.
That's it. Billy, what else you got?
So I was speaking to Mark a little while ago about this, but when you got into sales, everyone's, you're buzzing, you make your first sale, and then 20 years down the track, you're still chipping away. Mark, last year you closed the biggest deal on the beaches. Now, does that feeling change over your career?
What's that? So the last bit?
Do you still get excited?
Does the feeling change?
Does that closing the deal? Does that feeling change?
Nah.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. It's as sweet, as difficult, as it's all the same. It's all, but it's, I think you do lose empathy when you're that transactional, which I really, really try to bring into what I do, because I think agents become a little bit insensitive after a while. I think it's one of the only industries. Someone told me a quote the other day. It's one of the only industries where you can be the best in your field and not how do they say it? Let me get that quote. I'll get back to you on that quote, guys, because it was really well put. Where it's one of the only industries where you can have a shitload of experience and actually not do deals. So it's because there's that empathy side to it. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and it'd be like someone who plays professional rugby. If you're not getting excited about scoring a try, then your time's sort of up. But you're 100% right there. Where that experienced agent does fall away is that emotional journey up until the sale, up until that's the hunt, the excitement of when you hear about contracts being exchanged. It doesn't matter if the deal's worth $100,000 or $20 million. It's still there.
Huge.
How do you, for an agent starting out, how do you put a good timeline or a good measure on someone's progress working towards an end goal? Because we all talk about starting, with the basics at reception and leasing, things that you necessarily might not want to do for the rest of your real estate career. But how do you make a good measure of working towards that end goal? Those initial 2 years.
Well, I think you've got to try not to measure it. It's hard because you've just got to follow the process. It'd be like starting a gym routine and you're doing training for your first couple of months, but you're not seeing much results. It's not working. Because I think you always have that battle as a real estate agent. You could work your hardest that month and have no sales, but then in 2 months' time, everything falls into place. So you've just got to stick to the process. If it's doing 500 drops, 1,000 calls, or whatever it is, you got to stick with it and be consistent and not sort of judge it day to day, week to week, and the process there. If you've been busy. Obviously, you can analyze if deals. There's a difference between a deal falling apart because you may have, messed up the negotiations and you could have improved it better, rather than just not being at the deal yet and just creating the movement around it. So it's sort of best not to, if you're doing the work basically, but not to measure it on sales if you're doing sales in that beginning bit. But that's why I always it's always good to start off with the lower hanging fruit, leasing deals, negotiating tenants, and if you're improving on that negotiation skill there. What do you reckon, Mark?
Can you ask that question again?
When we talk about getting those first 10,000 hours in and that timeline of working towards an end goal, which for most people in the office or industry seems to be sales. Everyone wants to do sales. How do you measure whether you're on a good path to reach sales in those first 2 years?
I think it's probably reinforcing what Michael just said, but I'll put it in another way. It's all about patterns, and we all run in our lives patterns. We build this fabric of patterns, and everyone's fabric is different. Now, when you're selling or what you're doing, if you are building productive, good, healthy, fun patterns into your life and cementing them in to the fabric of your life and continuing to find other patterns, more patterns, bettering your patterns, that's probably been the most I've seen through most real estate agents, where they've got the craziness to be creative and come up with something that is good and productive, but they've got the boringness of being consistent enough to ramp that out. Allow me to give you an example. Jordan was with our office for about 6-7 years, top guy, and we just got into sales. He's like, what do I do? I said, mate, you got to do 1,000 letterbox drops before you set foot into the office every day. I said, you do that with your name out there, just listed this, just sold that, just listed this. I said, that's about 25,000 a month you're going to be getting out. You do that, your career's going to go next level. He did it. He did the most unbelievable numbers and grew, but that was part of his pattern. That was part of his fabric of what he was doing. Now, what happens with people is sometimes you move on to another pattern. So you forget about those things that actually made you great. You stop doing them just because you're busy.
Yeah, because like especially with letterbox drops, you can't expect to drop 1,000 and get a call. You may have to drop that one house 4 times. So you're realistically doing 100,000 for that call. So you start it in January and you start quantifying results in December, but you've got to do something for 12 months without any reward. And that's basically what sales is like. What's next, Bill? We've only done 2 or 3. It's been 15.
How quickly, when you've got a new guy coming into the office, can you tell if they're going to be a top sales rep?
Leave this with you, Mark.
How long does it take? And what do you notice as well?
I would say 1 week. So if you had A team, B team, C team, and D team, and call that skill level, acumen, all that stuff. I would say to know whether these guys are going to make it from the D team to the C team, if they're going to make it, we would know within a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whether they progress to go from all that.
Yeah, and then to get from even C, let's just say B is actually doing deals consistently. It's nothing to do with the skill. It's the consistency, which could take 12 months. So you could tick all the boxes of a potential A, and then 3 months later, you're not even in the industry because you couldn't do 7 days a week work. So it's time is the biggest. Can't back it up. It's not about having a perfect day, perfect week, perfect phone call. It's a consistency. You'd rather someone who looks like a C, but they're here for 2 years and they do a lot more sales in the long run than the guy who looked like a neighbor only did it well for a month.
Well, they may be. That's right. They may be super consistent, Mr. Consistent, but they may be a slow learner. And it'll just take longer, or it could be the opposite. So to run someone, to come in as a D skill level, to make it to a C skill level, I would say we would know during a month. So a week, you'd know whether they're staying. A month to get to a C, and I think probably 6 to 12 months to get to a B, and an A team member you would sort of identify within the first year or 2.
Yeah, think of it like jiu-jitsu belts. You've got the technical side, but a big part of it is consistency over time. You could be the best white belt, but you don't get the blue belt because you're on 1 month, off 1 month, on. Like it doesn't work. Next question, Bill. Do a couple more.
When you looking back on your career,
you like this, Michael?
Yes, not bad.
Yeah, well, looking back on your career, if there's one thing that's made you more money than anything else, and you could tell that person, that young 18-year-old at the start, what would it be?
Michael?
Yeah, marketing and consistency.
Market yourself?
Yeah, market yourself because no one else will. So you've got to put your own content out. You've got to find your own ways and find what you enjoy doing. That's the biggest thing. If you don't like it, there's certain things you've got to do just to get it up and running. You've got to get calls out. Some people don't like door knocking. I hated door knocking, so I never did it. Once I realized I didn't. But then you make up for it with letterbox drop, Bing letters, billboards, and phone calls. Like find the couple of things you like to do, and you've just got to be really consistent. And don't just take the in the box thinking. Like that's where the billboards came from as well, with off the back of Mark's advice. It was sort of the way I thought as well. Just because you don't have a property there, look at something different. So market yourself. Otherwise, no one's going to know you, especially your first little while marketing. And pay for it yourself. Put it on a credit
Invest
card.
in yourself.
I always thought of this, and it's when you look at the amount of money an agent can earn, and you look at, say, someone who opens up a coffee shop, someone who opens up a coffee shop goes into 50 grand debt, 100 grand debt before they make $1. In real estate, you're starting off on a clean slate. Actually, you're getting paid. Actually, your employer's negative because of you. And put money in your own pocket. Go get a credit card. Go get a loan. It's a lot cheaper than opening up a business, and go market yourself. But that would be the biggest thing. And the thing is, no one will do it. Mark, think about starting day one, go getting it. Like, people will start their own business and get a personal loan of 20, 30 grand.
Yeah, mate, I'm completely with you. It's like, a great way to look at it.
Imagine being new in the industry and you get 30 grand behind you. You've only got to pay off maybe $200 a week. Like, your wage especially will start it, but you're backing yourself. And if you can't do that for yourself, who would list their property with you? Who would employ you? And I know I did it. Mark, you, me personally, but you only sort of, like, we did it together. If you saw me investing in me, you would invest in results. Like, I think any agent is very ignorant to think an employer is just going to be like, here's everything. Put your money where the mouth is. Clients will know as well.
It just doesn't happen. And now, if anyone's got any questions, throw them at us. Tony said, thank you for sharing, Michael, Mark, sharing your wealth of experience. Certainly learned a few things from Bill, asking the right questions. And Nagawi says, yes, thanks for your time and sharing the information. If you've got any questions for Billy or us, ask them right now. We are a live show. Billy, any other questions, or did you want me to answer that previous question, or have you got any more questions?
No, I think you've covered it. Was that an invitation to get back on for next time, Mark? If there's some questions.
Good.
Mark is Billy's gone into the kill live on a live show. Mate, we'd love to have you back. We're going to see. We'll ask the audience. It doesn't matter what we think. You'll ask the audience by request if they want Billy back. Billy's coming back.
Yeah,
mate, you did a great job. You did a great job with the questions. Billy's going to get all his mates to go on and ask Billy.
yeah, bring Billy back.
Bring Billy back. Bring Billy back. But
right,
mate, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
A quick one. What about? Well, here's one. What about quick one? Entering the industry mature age. Lisa Novak's a perfect example.
Mature age.
Hey, Lisa
I love that.
Yeah. How do you got a question? How do you get into the real estate industry as a new beginner? There's Tony, quick one. Yeah, so that was Tony. Well, we can answer them on another show. We'll go through them tomorrow.
Let's go through some of those tomorrow. We may need to bring Billy back by the sounds of it. By some of these, even more of these questions that have been generated. But guys, have a great day. It is Monday. It is going to be a beautiful week. Enjoy, and we'll speak soon. And I'm just going to hit the outro. See you guys.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
Cheers, Mark.